we've got some lovely colours today. We've got permanent rose, purple lake and some cadmium orange. We're going to tape up our page. So I've got some cold press watercolour paper already taped down the edges. I've got this extra thin tape here and I'm just making some lovely little sections. So I've got a medium-sized brush and I've got my watercolour paints, and I thought it'd be quite nice to just make some patterns by dabbing the brush on the page and just adding some lines and some bits of colour here and there. So I'm using these three colours and I'm sort of mixing them up as I go, not really washing my brush. I'm picking up some water to grab the watercolour paint, but I'm not really washing that brush. So it's sort of a mixture of all three of those colours. And I'm just thinking to myself, I want to fill these little sections up with all these little patterny kind of marks. And I don't mind there being a little bit of white paper left, but I want to cover the majority of it. So it's just a little bit of play sampling and just having a bit of fun, filling those pages with these marks and just going with the flow, really, not really thinking about it, just having a little bit of fun. So layering over the top, so some sections have dried and then I'm going over again and adding some more colour. Some are still wet, so when I am layering over the top it is mixing together, but I'm not worrying about that. I'm just letting things happen as they do. So just continuing, adding some lines here and there where I can see there needs to be a little bit more colour, adding some press down marks, which sort of look, you know, very tree-like, I think, when you do that, and quite petal-like when you want to make a flower. So very, very simple, adding these details onto your little grid. I love doing grid work, and I love the way that you have all of these little tiny pictures, and if you don't like one, then you're bound to like another. When you do a whole picture, you're sort of committed, and you know, if it doesn't turn out, you're a bit disappointed, thinking to yourself, oh, I've spent all this time and I don't really like the outcome. But with grid art, you can do this and it really doesn't matter, because you're bound to find one that you really, really like, and that really makes it all worthwhile. So just adding some lines here and there again and going over the top and just filling up that white space with these lovely, lovely juicy coloured marks. When you've filled up your page, you're going to need to let the paint dry. Once it's dry, grab some acrylic paint pens, or you could use pencils or any kinds of pencils or pens that you've got, or even oil pastels. And I'm just making over the top of my paint marks. So where the brush has left a roundish mark, I'm sort of encircling it with a paint pen just to make it bounce off the page. Just offers that little bit more layering, a little bit of detail, and really enhances the picture with all of those bursting vibrant colours. So I've got Posca pens here, and I find that these are very, very good. I have got some other acrylic paint pens and I do use those, but they're just not as confident as the Posca pens. The Posca pens always seem to deliver a really good amount of colour onto your page. So I do like using these. I'd say they're my favourite pens at the moment. And I'm just looking at my page, looking at the shapes, outlining what I see, and it's a little bit of fun. You sort of get lost in that process because you're sort of concentrating, thinking, oh, I can see a shape there, I can see another shape there, and you're just outlining it, just following what you've already got. And this is great for mindfulness because you don't really have to think about the process at all. You just follow what you can see on the page. And I love abstract art for that reason. It's really you being in the moment with your art, just having a little bit of fun and enjoying yourself with all of those worries sort of drifted away, and your concentration is just on the page and what you're doing. So I'm just finding more and more marks here and just outlining and just alternating those pens. So doing a bit of pink, doing a bit of purple, and going back to a bit of orange and pale pink. So that's really, really fun. So I've completed that with the acrylic paint pens, and I thought it'd be nice to grab the gold pen, the uni ball broad pen, which I love using. And I thought it'd be nice to outline some of those acrylic paint marks that we've now made. And that just makes a bolder kind of look on the page. Also, when you hold the page up to a light source, you can actually see that gold on the page. So it gives it that lovely glitzy kind of look, that little bit of depth that sometimes looks really good when you've put a picture up on the wall and the light catches it. It just makes it look a little bit more glamorous. So continuing, again, it's the same process, following the marks that I've already got on the page, outlining them, some on the outside of the lines, some on the inside of those lines, wherever it feels appropriate. Maybe adding some little marks here and there. You might want to add some dots or some further little marks. Just go with what you feel, how you feel at that moment. Just go with it. And sometimes things don't work out, but a lot of the times they do. And it's great when they do and you feel so good about it. Because you weren't making any plan and it just turns out really, really nice. So that's great. And I would love to hear your stories about you trying different things and how that's worked out for you and how it made you feel in the end. I think arts is about how you feel about what you're doing. So I've heated up all of the tape because I don't want to rip any of the page. So really heated that up and made all of that tape really tacky so it peels off really easily. And I'm going to pull this up to the camera so you can see the lovely detail. And I think it's turned out really well. And I think I'm going to use this for another picture. So I love it so much, I think that it needs to be utilised in another way later on down the line. So watch out for that video that I'll put out at a later date. So you can see it all here, really, really nice, really enjoyable to do. So glad you stayed to the end and watched. Thank you so much and hope to see you again soon. Okay then, thanks a lot. See you soon. Bye.